Hello and welcome to my second Python demo here for YouTube. Today in this video we're going to go through a quick BeautifulSoup web parse demo, web scrape demo, where we go out to a website and we scrape the contents off the website. And we'll be using the BeautifulSoup module as well as URLlib2 module. Those are not necessarily need to know for the how to do it, but like I said, this is just a quick walkthrough on hopefully how to get that done. Anyway, the first thing I did was I created a new folder for my project, and we're going to be scraping fantasy football data from ESPN website today. So I made a new folder and an empty Python script, which we see here in our editor. And so now we're going to type in some commands here, some Python commands. Basically the first thing we're going to do is import the BeautifulSoup library so we can use it. And we're going to import the URLlib2 library. We'll be using it. The first thing I like to do is I like to set a couple files here. One, we want to make a file that is where we're going to put our data off the website. So that's the first file here. We're just going to browse out to that directory we created earlier, and that's where we want to drop our output files. This first one is the like I said, the output file for the text we're actually going to grab, and we're going to put it in write mode, which is what the W means. The second one we're going to do is an error file. That way we can capture, you know, as you're developing your scripts to begin with, you need to you'll have errors, whatever you want to capture, and so you can tweak your script as needed. Okay, so once we've got our two files, I'll show you a quick view of the site we're looking at. So this is the ESPN's projection website where it projects what the fantasy football scores are going to be this week. And basically we're going to grab this data programmatically, and so we can stuff it into a database and do whatever we want with it. So we notice here when you go to the site the first time, it just has this projections. This is the URL we're going to grab. When you hit next, you'll see that there's a start index. So basically it's going to loop through and give you 40 players at a time. And so if we put start index 0, that's at the very first page. And so then we want to make sure and tell our Python script to go grab these first 40, then go to the next page, which would be 40. And so we're going to send it into a loop to accomplish that. So start an X here to keep track of where we're at, and then now while X is less than 500, it's, you know, it means give us the top 500 players, which, you know, on any given Sunday that's probably plenty sufficient. Now we're going to set a soup object to go out and parse that site real quick. Sorry, it's hard for me to type and talk at the same time. Open. So we're going to do an open, and now this is where we put in our website URL. I'm going to park that here. And so now we want to make sure and loop this based on every, you know, we're going to increment that by 40 every time and grab that page's worth of data. So now we're going to tell it to go to the start index is going to be equal to the X. We need to convert it to a string, and read is the function that we're going to do, and we have to pass it a, what are we reading, what type of data, so HTML. So that looks good, I think. And so now we have this object that's soup that's going to have all the HTML code for this URL that we've read in. And so now we're going to parse that data. So I just always use table stats for some reason for that name, but anyway, fine. We're now telling the Python script what data we want to grab from that HTML that we've stored in that soup object. So we go through here, and this is, I'll show you this in a second on the in the code of the ESPN site. One second. Alright. So this is saying, hey, Soup, go out and find this table with this class. And if you look over at our page and you go to View Source, the easiest way for me is to go out and try to find the text, you know, because this source is huge. So if you just do a Control F and look for Jordy, you'll see that that's the first row of the table. If you scroll back up a little bit, you'll see right here, where's it at? There'll be a table tag right here. So table class equals, and that's what we're going to tell our Python code to look for. Look for this table in that code, and now when you find it, we're going to do some more things here. So you know, for every row you find in that table, we want to actually find all tr, which is the HTML tag for table row, and we're gonna, this is a little code here to say, hey, start at row 2, we want to skip the header row, we don't need the header. Now we're in a for loop, so while you're in that loop, I want you to find all the TDs. That's another HTML tag saying find all the column data, which is going to show, you know, Nelson, Buffalo. It's going to loop through these columns for every row. So, you know, basically we're telling it to loop through this and do this for us. And now we're going to do a try block. And a try block is good because then if it bails out, we can capture the error and see what the problem is. We're going to set a name variable, which is actually the player's name. And we're going to tell it go to the first column, which is its 0 index. So go to the first column, which is right here on our screen, and then this .a is saying this is a link, because ESPN and other sites of course have links to the players, so you can drill into their data. So we're telling the site to grab that link. We want the text of the link, we don't want the link itself. So it's saying, you know, find that A object, grab the string, and strip out all the data we don't need, the extra spaces or whatever there might be. And then basically we're just going to go write that to our output file with the line feed add-in, so we can get one player on each row in our output file. And then here we're going to put in an exception. We want to capture any exceptions. Again, this is good for debugging our code. That way we know what the error was, and then we can tweak the script as needed. We're going to write that out to the error file we created up top. This is going to tell us what row or what page it's on, the string X, and then, you know, just some. I just do this to make the log a little more readable. Put some more in there. That tells us the string E is the actual exception, so that'll output out what the error was. And then this will output what column it died on, which, like I said, is handy for when you're trying to find out is there a certain row of data it's choking on versus, you know, this kind of gets you down to the granular level of which column, you know, is dying out on me, or which row, sorry. And then once we hit an exception, we're going to tell it to pass, meaning just I see it, I want you to log it, and then keep moving. I don't want you to bail out of the script. So it's going to pass that. And so now we need to increment our X variable. So like I said, we want to make sure we go to the next 40. And then we're going to hop out of our while loop. We're going to close our output file. We're going to close our error file. Too many R's. Jeez. Close. We're going to save that script, and we'll pop over to our Python command prompt. We'll do a Python. We'll browse out to Python. I'm just hitting tab. Once you type a partial, you hit tab, it'll try to finish the rest for you. And then let's see what happens. Of course, I didn't type that correctly. One second here. Oh, it doesn't like my I misspelled diamond in the actual naming of the file or the folder, so that's fantastic, Joe. Good work. So I'll fix that here, and then I'll go back and fix that later. Let's see. Alright, so now our script's running again. It's looping through all those pages, grabbing data. Remember, we're just grabbing the player name, and now it's finished, so now we should be able to see our error file is empty, which is good. No errors, so that's good. And then our out file, you can see, has our player names. So now we'll expand that out to grab the rest of the data we want, because we want to grab the projected passing, rushing, everything. We want to grab all this for our project and dump it in a database. So anyway, that's a quick demo on how to do a BeautifulSoup parse, and of course there's all kinds of things you can do here, and we'll try to cover those in future videos. Thanks.